Okay, let's continue our discussion in the second lecture on second video on contract costing. So now let me go to the next problem. This is also an interesting problem. I'm going to now look at illustration 6 in your ICAI study material. So let me go to illustration 6. So in the last lecture we did illustration 4 and illustration 5, through which we had a good understanding of how to prepare a contract account. This is going to be a very good illustration number 6 here. Um Mainly because we are going to be preparing contract account across 3 years. For 3 years from the beginning we are going to prepare. So across the different years, how are different items going to be treated, you will get a good understanding here. So all along we have been preparing contract account for 1 year, right? Standalone for 1 year we have been preparing. Now across time when you prepare, you will get a feel of how things will move with time. Okay, so that is something for uh, important consideration for us when we look at illustration 6. Okay, so let me read the illustration and then let's go for the solutions and also the understanding of all of these things. Bunsel's Construction Company Limited took a contract for 60 lakhs expected to be completed in 3 years. The following particulars relating to the contract are available: 2016, 17, 2018, materials, wages, transportation costs, other expenses, cumulative work certified, cumulative work uncertified, everything is given. The plant costing 3 lakhs was bought at the commencement of the contract. Depreciation was to be charged at 25% per annum on the written down value method. The contractee pays 75% of the value of work certified as and when certified and makes the final payment on completion of the contract. You are required to prepare a contract account for 3 years and total estimated profit or loss from the contract. See, when does the work begin? Let's say beginning of 2016. It gets over end of 2018. Only thing I want to do is, last year alone you see the work certified, you see 60 lakhs, which is exactly what is the contract price. So by the end of 2018 you should have recognized entire contract revenue because you would have completed. Okay, with that small observation, let's go ahead for contract account preparation for 3 years. As I said in the beginning of this illustration, before I started reading through the course, we'll understand a lot of other things. Okay. Contract account for 2016. Again, our practice, as and when we discuss something, let's put a green symbol there. Okay. Materials 6 lakh 75. Let's put my two materials here, 6 lakh 75, and then wages 6 lakh 20, two wages 6 lakh 20. All this is 2016 cost incurred. Transportation cost 30,000. Again here transportation cost is 30,000. Other expenses another 30,000. Here also 30,000. Now they tell us that the plant of 3 lakhs was bought at the commencement of the contract. Depreciation was to be charged at 25% per annum on the WDV. Right? So WDV method, directly they have given us the rate, so it becomes very easy. Take 3 lakhs, apply 25% on it, capture the depreciation for that year, it is 75,000. This is also simple. Now, what we should do here is, let's look at the work certified. Cumulative work certified, the meaning of this you will understand only when we go to the next year. But anyway, they are saying that the expert has come and said 13 lakh 50,000 is the work certified. So what does this mean? This means this amount is a part of 60 lakhs which we are allowed to recognize this year. Okay, so he said, if you for instance if you say 13 lakh 50,000 divided by 60 lakhs, then you get 22.5 percentage, right? So instead of telling 22.5 percentage completion, he has told 13 lakh 50,000. So what I do is I take 13 lakh 50,000 here. I go and I recognize it like revenue. Now, obviously, there is some work that has happened but not certified. They have given that as 15,000. So whenever the question tells us what is the work uncertified amount, we'll directly take that and say that that is the cost. See, we understand work certified is in selling price terms. Work uncertified is in cost terms. So when they give this here, you don't need to question anything. You can say, okay, fine, this is the work uncertified. That means this would mean the amount of cost incurred towards work which has happened but not certified, it has to be removed. So we'll directly take it. Come here, work uncertified. See, the total of this 6 lakh 75, 6 lakh 20, all of this has this 14 lakh 30,000 basically has 15,000 inside it, which is not supposed to be there, because to this extent work has happened, but since it is not certified, revenue is not recognized, so cost is not supposed to be recognized. This is what we have seen. Okay, so 15,000. Now, if you find out the total of debit and credit, you find out that debit side total exceeds credit side. So if excess debit, that means you have a loss. The loss here is 65,000 notional loss. I am saying transferred to costing P&L. Whenever you have a loss, entire amount must be immediately transferred to P&L account because of the concept of prudence, conservatism, whatever you may call it. Only when there is a profit, I said that not the entire amount will be transferred, but we don't need to bother about what will get transferred, what will not get transferred, because it's not part of our syllabus. But loss means everything has to go to P&L. So we are transferring it. Now what I want to do is, we can ideally go to next year's contract account. But before that, I'll talk about one accounting entry that will be passed. Okay, one entry, just one journal entry, one accounting entry will be passed right now. See, normally you can say that this 13,50,000, so much of revenue you are recognizing this year, right? But is the customer paying you so much? No. The question says the contractee pays 75% of the value of the work certified. So you have work certified as 13 lakh 50, but he is paying you 75%. So he has paid you 10 lakh 12,500. The balance, obviously we understand it is called as retention money. He'll pay it later when the contract gets over. So 10 lakh 12,500 is what he has paid us. No, I can tell you it is something like this. Okay, had it not been a contract account, some other normal scenario, I would have passed entries like this. I would have said debtors to sales. I would have said debtors to sales. I would have written an entry 13 lakh 50,000. This is what I would have said, 13 lakh 50,000. Then I would have passed another entry saying bank account to sales. I would have passed an entry 10 lakh 12,500. So net, if you see, so much balance will be there in debtors account. Net balance in debtors, if you see, will be, sorry, not bank account to debtors here, bank account to debtors, if you see here. So debtors got a debit of 13 lakh 50,000. Now they get a credit of 10 lakh 12,000. So whatever they have not paid me, I am saying that they still owe me that amount. This is what will have in my debtors account. This is how I would have passed my entries had it been a normal scenario. Here my debtor is my contractee, the person for whom I am doing the work. Now here I am not going to pass an entry like this. I am not first going to say contractee account debit to sales, bank account debit to contractee. I am not going to pass entries like this. What I am rather going to do is, whatever money I get from him, I am going to treat it like advance money, and I am going to pass an entry bank account debit to advance money from contractee. Basically, I'm going to treat this 10 lakh 12,000 of inflow as a liability. I'm going to park it in advance amount received from contractee. The reason is, see, work might have been certified, then to that extent I might recognize revenue. The customer contractee might have also given me a partial payment. All this is true. But one very important thing is, there are still 2 more years for me to go. I really don't know what will happen. Suppose 1 year goes, I mean, this year gets over, 1 month in the next year, I decide that I want to call it quits, right? I want to get out of this. I call my customer and tell, sorry, I cannot do this. Either I don't want to do it, or something has come, I am not able to do this contract, I'm not able to pursue it further. My contractee is not going to say, okay, fine, for the cost that you incurred, you keep this 10 lakh 12,000. Definitely not. He is going to ask me this back. So though he has given this money, and I have kind of, on a proportionate completion method, I've taken this as my revenue, I've treated it like that, I am not going to pass the traditional sale and collection entry. Rather, I'm going to pass an entry bank account debit to contractee account 10 lakh 12,500. So contractee is now appearing in my books as a liability, as though I have received some advance money from him. I'll treat, wait and see what will happen in the next years, how these accounts will, what picture they'll show. But for now, this is the entry I'll pass. Now, here what happens is, I'll have a debit balance in my work certified account 13 lakh 50,000. What happens? You will ask me a question. Sales will normally have only a credit balance. Now, if you say buy work certified, I'm saying work certified as a debit balance here, right? See, what is the entry that you have passed here? Work certified account debit to contract account 13 lakh 50. We are only reflecting the contract account part of the entry. But if the work certified account part of the entry is seen, it will be work certified account debit 13 lakh 50,000. The logic is that is a part of the revenue that we have collected, but we are still calling it as work in progress. We are still saying that we have recognized that. It's not that I've sold it. I only recognize this. See, the work is happening. 30% work is over, let's say. It doesn't mean 30% work is over. That 30% I'll sell it to my contractee, right? Still work will be happening. Still I'll be calling it only work in progress. So this 13 lakh 50,000 is lying as a debit balance. It's like I'm having a work in progress, but I'm recognizing it like revenue here. But the entry I'm passing is for advance money received. This is very important for you to understand. We'll collate all of these things as we progress towards every subsequent year. Okay. I mean, this is not part of the question. I am only explaining this for your better understanding. So this is like the revenue. That's why I kept using the word. It's like the revenue that I have recognized. Doesn't mean that I have sold it off to my customer. Okay, it's not like that. So I just keep it, park it aside. Right now, my work certified account has a debit balance of 13 lakh 50,000. My contractee has a credit balance of 10 lakh 12,500 in my books, and bank has a debit because that's the amount I've received. Great. Let's go to the next year. Next year, if you see, let's look at the easy items first. Let's look at the materials. 10 lakh 50 materials. Wages 9 lakhs. So all of these things, let's just keep highlighting. Wages is 9 lakhs. Then transportation cost is 90,000. Here transportation cost is 90,000. Other expenses is 75,000. Here other expenses is 75,000. Depreciation, see, last year beginning 3 lakhs into 25% depreciation if you provide, then the value would have been 3 lakhs into 75%. Again into one more year 25%, you will get 56,250. So 3 lakhs minus 25% is basically 3 lakhs into 75%. This would have been the opening balance in 2017. On that, apply 25%, you will get 56,250. This gives you your depreciation for this year. Now, see, let's look at the work certified, uncertified discussion right here. Come to the question. The question says work certified is 45 lakhs. It does not mean that this is work that has happened in 2017 that is certified. What happens is, last day of 2016, the architect or the expert comes and says work certified is 13 lakh 50,000. Then what happens is 2017 last day he comes and says cumulatively work certified is 45 lakhs. We saw that 13 lakh 50,000 divided by 60 lakhs is 22.5%. 45 lakhs divided by, let's see, 45 lakhs divided by 60 lakhs obviously gives us 75%. So first year end, 2016 end, he came and told 22.5% work completed. Second year end, that is 2017 end, he comes and says 75% work done. So cumulatively what has been over, that's what he tells me. That would tell me that in between, the difference between 13 lakh 50 and 45 lakhs, that is the work that has happened in this year and also got certified. So when I recognize something like revenue this year, I should not recognize complete 45 lakhs. I should recognize only the difference between 13 lakh 50 and 45 lakhs. See, this 45 lakhs is a part of 60 lakhs. Out of this, so he is saying by the end of 2017, up to 45 lakhs out of 60 lakhs you can recognize. But I've already recognized 13 lakh 50. So I should recognize only the difference between that. So when I come to work certified, I am recognizing only 31 lakh 50,000, which is the difference between 45 lakhs and 13 lakh 50,000. See, now what happens is similar logic for work uncertified. Work uncertified, what happens is the work that has happened and not certified yet, the cost of that is 75,000. So at the end of 2017, some work has happened for which cost has been incurred, but that work is not it's not certified. What is that? That is 75,000. So cost of work incurred, cost of work incurred till the end of 2017, but not yet certified is 75,000. But it does not mean that this is the cost of work uncertified, the work happening in 2017. From the beginning, whatever work has happened, for which certification has not yet happened, that is 75,000. This 75,000 already has 15,000 inside it. So this 75,000 is the total work that has happened that has not yet been certified. But this 15,000 is already work that happened last year and not certified. That means the difference, the 60,000, that is only what we understand as work that has happened this year but not certified. Total work that has happened from 2016 not certified is 75,000. In 2016 it was 15,000. So difference is only work that has happened in 2017 not certified. How I am capturing it is, I am saying cumulatively 75,000 I'll remove, but I'll include 15,000 which was last year removal. See, last year I removed 15,000 of cost. Okay, last year I removed 50,000 of cost. This year, if I'm removing 75,000 of cost because it is relating to work that has happened but not yet certified. If I leave it like that, I'm removing 15,000 two times. Already 15,000 I have removed here. Now if I remove 75,000, I should definitely correct that mistake. So I'm saying two work uncertified. I'm saying 15,000. So what effectively happens is, in the first year, the amount that got removed is 15,000, or in other words, in first year the expense that was incurred but not recognized was 15,000. In second year, the expense that was incurred but not recognized is 75 minus 15, 60,000. So first year 15,000 of expense was not recognized. Second year 60,000 of expense was not recognized. Totally 75,000 of expense has been incurred but not yet recognized. It will get recognized in the next year. Okay. So this is why here ideally you could have also done 75 minus 15, you could have done 60,000. But here for work uncertified, I would suggest you show opening and you show closing like this. Okay. So this is the logic behind this. Now come below, I'll show the entries. Now the entries, what I'm going to say is, see this year how much of work that was certified. I mean this year work that got certified 31,50,000. That means out of this 75% my contractee must have paid. Yes, but I'll pass an entry for advance money. I'll say bank account debit to contractee account 23,62,500, 23,62,500. So as of now, if you see, my contractee account will show 10,12,500 plus 23,62,500. So much of credit balance my contractee account will show. And what will my work certified show? It will show 31,50,000 plus 13,50,000. That means together it will show 45 lakhs right now. So right now if you go and see my accounts, work certified account will show 45 lakhs debit balance and contractee account will show 23,62,500 plus the other amount as credit balance. Come below 2018. Let's again look at the easy amounts and then let's go for the other calculations. Materials 9 lakhs. Okay, done. Then wages 7,50,000. Here 7,50,000. Transportation cost 75,000. Here again transportation cost 75,000. Other expenses 24,000. Here other expenses 24,000. Depreciation, you see 3 lakhs 2016 beginning into 75% 2017 beginning, because 25% depreciation 2016 into 75% beginning to into 75% 2018 beginning, again into 25% this year's depreciation. So 42,188. So 3 lakhs beginning value. If you remove 25% depreciation multiplied with 75%, you will get 2017 beginning. That year depreciation if you provide and multiply with 75%, you get 2018 beginning into 25%, 42,188. If you have any doubt, you just mechanically try to calculate using the WDV table. You will get 42,188, right? I just easily calculated here. This, if you feel you need more clarity, you just need to do it the long way, okay? 42,188. Now what I will do is, see, cumulatively work certified is 60 lakhs. Now, at the end of 2018, the expert is coming and saying entire work is certified. That means 100% you have finished. Now 100% of revenue I can recognize. But already I have recognized 45 lakhs of revenue. So this year I'm going to say by work certified only 15 lakhs, which is 60 lakhs minus 45 lakhs. So by work certified I have written 15 lakhs here. Now, do I have any work uncertified? Nothing, because contract is over. When the contract is over, I still cannot have any work that has happened but not yet certified. So I don't need to remove anything from my contract account. So no work uncertified. However, these items that are shaded in green, That alone is not the cost incurred. Now I should recognize the cost which I was all along not recognizing. So whatever I had closing here as work uncertified, that will now become opening here. This 75,000 includes 50,000 and 60,000. 15,000 amount incurred in first year, which I didn't recognize in first year, that escaped from first year. Second year, I allowed 60,000 to escape because work did not get certified. Now, totally, I have allowed 75,000 to escape in 2016 and 2017 put together. Now, I can no longer allow it to escape because in 2018, everything has been certified. So, this is item of expense which I have not recognized earlier. I should recognize now. So, I bring it as opening work uncertified. So, if I have all items of debit and items of credit, I get a notional loss 3,68,180. Notional loss means you will definitely transfer to costing P&L account. Now last year you had notional profit. Now let's look at all the account balances, then entries. Very interesting. See, account balances. Right now account balances is debit balance and work certified is 60 lakhs. How? I'll tell you. First year you had 13,50,000. Then you further debited 31,50,000. Then you further debited 15 lakhs. So now every time what is the entry you would have passed? Work certified account debit to contract account. So by passing 3 entries across 3 years, totally you have debited your work certified account to the extent of 60 lakhs. Right now your work certified account has a debit balance of 60 lakhs. Right now the credit balance in your contractee account is 33 lakhs 75,000. I'll tell you how. It's 33 lakh 75,000 because first time you received 10 lakh 12,500. Second year you received how much? 23 lakh 62,500. So as of now, before any entry is passed, your contractee account is showing credit balance of 33 lakh 75,000. Now you will pass an entry here. Contractee account debit to work certified. What you are doing is now you are treating the contractee as your debtor and saying, I have completed work for you. Now 60 lakhs is what you are, 60 lakhs, I'm debiting you for 60 lakhs right now. You are my debtor, 60 lakhs, I'm debiting you. And what happens is work certified is given the credit. Because it is like I've transferred the work certified to contract account. Now this work certified of 60 lakhs shows how much of work I have actually done till now. All along I was keeping it in my work certified account. I closed this account, I transferred it to contractee. Now contractee account has a debit of 60 lakhs. See, contractee account has a debit of 60 lakhs, but contractee account also has a credit of 33 lakhs 75,000. That means after this entry is passed, work certified accounts 60 lakhs debit, 60 lakhs credit, that balance will go away. Net debit balance in contractee account will be 26 lakh 25,000. The reason is it represents amount that has not yet been paid. Final entry is bank account debit to contractee. Whatever is remaining, he'll pay. The question tells me anything remaining, he'll pay. See, makes the final payment on completion of the contract. He pays this, then you will get your entire thing. See, again, these entries you don't need for the question. If you get stuck in 1 or 2 entries, logically tell yourself what these entries are, how it makes sense, you'll get the logic. If not, you don't need, ideally these are all, I would say 11th, 12th standard entries, okay? Basically, entries itself means basic debit credit. If you know, you'll be able to understand. If you're getting stuck in that, leave it. If you understand the contract account here, it's more than sufficient. I am only explaining this for your additional understanding. If you don't get it for some reason, just leave it. Don't feel for that. Okay. The reason I'm saying this is I don't want anybody to keep asking, I didn't understand the entries. Can you please explain again? If you're understanding with this, great. If you're not understanding with this, leave it. No problem. If you understand the contract account, it is more than sufficient. Okay. That's the idea. So this is your illustration number 6. Okay. Now what I will do is I'll go to practical problem 3. Go to practical problem 3. I'll read the question first. Once this question is over, then I'll do 2 very small questions, absolutely small questions I'll do. After that, we can kind of wind up, because with this all important nitty-gritties, everything that you need to know in contract costing, we have already kind of covered, right? So after beyond this, it's just going to be, there will be one more problem, practical problem 4. Based on what you learn in practical problem 3, I want you to try that problem. RTP questions later, before when you're revising for exam, at that time you can just flip through. Not in all RTPs, I think 1 or 2 RTPs only, as far as I've seen, you have a contract costing question. You'll be easily solve, you will be able to solve it with what you have learned here. Okay, so let me go to this thing here. Let me go to practical problem 3. Okay. AKP Builders Limited commenced a contract on 1st April 2018. The total contract was for 5 lakhs. Actual expenditure for the period, sorry, the big problem with PDF, it keeps jumping a lot. Okay, fine. Okay. AKP Builders Limited commenced a contract on 1st April 2018. The total contract was for 5 lakhs. Actual expenditure for the period April 1, 2018 to March 31st, 2019, and estimated expenditure for April 1, 2019 to December 31st, 2019 are given below. For 1 year, you're given the actuals, and in the next year, 9 months, you're given the estimates. Okay. Materials issued, wages paid, plant, all of these things are given. A part of the material was suitable and was unsuitable, and we will come to these numbers when we have to do the calculations. A part of the material was unsuitable and was sold for 18,125, cost being 15,000, and a part of the plant was scrapped and disposed of for 2875. The value of the plant at site on 31st March 2019 was 7750, and the value of material at site was 4250. Cash received on account to date was 1,75,000, representing 80% of the work certified. The cost of work uncertified was valued at 27,375. Then you are given some balance information, which I'll read it later. Now prepare a contract account for 31st March 2019 and calculate the estimated total profit on this contract. See, we have seen only notional profit, right? We have seen only notional profit. What is this estimated total profit? We'll come to that once we finish preparing the contract account. For this 1 year, April 1, 2018 to 31st March 2019, let's prepare the contract account first. And then after that, we look at what is this estimated profit, for which we'll use this estimated expenditure, this entire paragraph that I skipped right now that I didn't read, I'll read it at that time, and then we'll use those numbers there. Okay, let me go to my solution here to explain this. See, this is a very interesting problem. I mean, it's not difficult, it's interesting. Pay a lot of attention, because if you understand the nitty-gritties of this problem, then you will be able to independently handle a contract costing problem. Okay, so that's the idea. See, first, materials issued 90,000. So let me put materials issued 90,000. Okay. Then wages. So you should be careful here. What I've paid is 75,000. What is unpaid is 6250. But we have to recognize not payment. We should recognize expense. Expense includes outstanding. Right? Accrual system of accounting. What is expense for this year? Whether it's paid or not, it has to be accounted. So I am going to say, including outstanding, 81,250 is what is going to be recognized as wages, not just 75,000. Okay, that's very important. Then let's come to depreciation. But anyway, before that, sundry expenses. See, amount that has been paid is 7250, but is the 7250 entirely for this year? No. Prepaid at the end is 625. This means the 625, a part of 7250, is towards the next year. Okay, so what you have paid for next year is not a part of this year's expense, so we will not recognize it this year. So we are going to say sundry expenses, whatever number we have, 7250 minus 625, if you calculate, you will get your 6625. So I'm going to say 7250 again minus 625, you will get 6625. Okay, excluding prepaid amount. Then establishment charges 14,625, that is also something I've covered. Now let me go to the depreciation part of it. See, if you come to depreciation part, what you see is, see, the plant was brought in at the value of 25,000. So I'll treat it like opening balance 25,000. The plant that was sold out of this, let's see how much of plant was sold. The plant that was sold had a value of 2875. So that also goes off. Okay, the plant that was sold is 2875. So after the sale, the plant that's available is only 22,125. But when you close the year, what was the value of plant on 31st March 2019? 7750. So after the sale, ideally your plant must have had a value of 22,125. But you are having a closing value only of 7750. That means value has dropped from 22,125 to 7750. What is the drop called? Depreciation. Why is the drop there? Because of usage. What are you using it for? Contract. So let's go and debit this depreciation as an expense for the contract. Come here, you say to depreciation and you're saying value here. Okay. Now, in this 90,000, what happens is you have a part of this 90,000 which has a cost of 15,000. This 15,000, though you have brought it inside, you have to remove it because you're actually selling that material. This 90,000 of this cost, if you see, out of this 90,000 is the cost of materials brought inside. But I am not using 90,000 of materials. I'm in fact using only 75,000 of materials right now. Okay, right now I am only using 75,000 because 15,000 worth of materials having a cost of 15,000 are not used, they are sold. So what I should do is I should remove that 15,000 from this 90,000 because the materials are sold. So ideally what I should have done is I should have gone here in the credit side, but to remove it I should have said by sale of materials. I should have put 15,000 here. However, I am selling the materials for 18,125. So I am crediting the contract account with the sale proceeds, which is 18,125. What is there inside this 90,000 is 15,000. But what I'm removing is 18,125. What I've debited, see in this 90,000, the 15,000 debit is there. But what I'm crediting here is 18,125. So that means effectively I'm selling it at a profit of 3,125. So if I don't do anything, I have debited materials cost of 15,000 within this 90,000. I have credited 18,125 because I have sold the materials. The profit of 3,125 will remain in the contract account if I don't do anything. So what I am doing is I am transferring the profit to costing P&L and I am removing it from my contract account. Say you go and sit in costing P&L. This profit was not given to me by the contract. This profit was given to me because the materials are sold. It's not the notional profit that the contract is giving me. It's the profit that the material sale is giving me. So remove it, throw it to the contract costing P&L. I'm sorry, to throw it to the costing P&L. Another way of dealing with it is just remove 15,000 here. Okay, if you just remove 15,000 here, then there's nothing for you to do here because you are just removing the cost of materials sold. Here instead of that we are crediting with the sale value of the materials. Instead, if you just credit with 15,000, here you need not do anything. I'm just explaining different ways of treatment. So understand why 18,125 here, why 3,125 here. Okay, great. Now, sorry. On 31st March, you also have materials at site of 4,250. That means, see, from 90,000, you removed materials having a cost of 15,000. So it looks like you used 75,000. In fact, you didn't use 75,000. 4,250 remained unused. So remove that cost also. This is why you are removing 4,250. Now, what are the only two other things you should do? Work certified and work uncertified. See, they have not told you work certified directly, but they have told you cash received was 1,75,000. It represented 80% of work certified. So 1,75,000 is 80% of work certified. What is work certified? 1,75,000 divided by 80%. So you have work certified. Hey, why is this irritating thing disturbing us? Okay, so 2,18,750 is the work certified. What is this 2,18,750? It's a part of the 5 lakhs, which is the contract revenue that is getting recognized, that you are allowed to recognize, or that is a part of the contract revenue because of the certification you are trying to recognize it like a revenue here. It's saying 2,18,750. So once you do that, then what is the work that has happened but not yet certified is big. Some amount of work has happened but not yet certified. So to that extent, whatever of cost is there, you should remove it. That is directly given to you 27,375. You do it, you have a notional profit of 58,500. How will you directly take entire thing to costing P&L? Let's not bother about that, because it's not a part of our syllabus. Okay, so I'm saying this again and again because it should sink in your mind that if you compare contract costing, what you have now and what you had, I mean what someone had earlier as a part of old syllabus, you should understand that this is something you should draw your attention to. Okay. Now I've addressed one part of the question which asks me to prepare the contract account. Now they're asking me what is the estimated profit from the total contract. See, from the total contract, what is the estimated profit from, or estimated total profit from this contract? See, I can't say this is 58,500 is my total profit because some more work has to happen. That means some more revenue will get recognized and then some more cost also will be there. So I should find out what is going to be my total cost that I'll incur and what will be my contract price. Difference will be estimated profit. So what I'm going to do is, first I'll calculate what is the cost I've already incurred. I'll calculate. Then I'll calculate what is the cost I am likely to incur. Then I'll calculate what is the estimated profit. Let's go step by step. See, cost already incurred 70,750 for materials. The reason I'm saying 70,750 for materials is because I'm taking 90,000. From this 90,000, I am removing 15,000. From this 15,000, and I am also removing 4,250. Now I get 70,750. So the cost I am recognizing this year is 70,750. Then let's look at wages. 81,250. Depreciation 14,375. Sundry expenses 6,625. Establishment charges 14,625. So the cost I have already incurred is 1,87,625. Now I'm going to calculate cost to be incurred. This is from the period, I'll say 1st April 2018 to 31st March 2019. For this period, what is the cost I've already incurred? I'm calculating. Now here I'm going to see what is the cost I'll incur from 1st April 2019 to 31st December 2019. I'll calculate like this. See, now what happens is my materials that I'm going to use here, if you come to the question, come to the table, you will see materials here of 85,750. Now I am not going to say materials cost to be incurred from in this period is 85,750. I'm going to say 90,000 because 85,750 is the cost of materials that was issued in this period, but 4,250 is the cost of materials that I have not used in the last year. That means I'm going to use it this year. See, what did I do? I removed it in last year's materials cost because I didn't use it. This year, obviously, I'm going to use it. So this year material cost is made up of two things. Cost of materials freshly issued, cost of materials already remaining with me. So if I add both, I'll get 90,000. Then let's look at wages here. How is wages calculated? See, what I have paid this year as in this period, 1st April 2019 to 31st, what I have paid is 87,325. Okay, 87,325. Now, this contains something that was unpaid last year. Last year, 6250 was unpaid, right? Last year, 6250 was unpaid. That means this year I would have paid. So, that is not a part of this year's expense. So, whatever was paid this year, I am subtracting from that what pertains to last year. Now, I leave it like this. Ideally, this must have been my wages. But I am making a mistake if I do this because this year there has been something that has not been yet paid. That is 8,500. If my memory does 8,000, I'm sorry, 300. So if I do this, I'll get 8,9,375. So whatever I paid this year, from that subtract what relates to last year, and whatever has not been paid this year, add it. You will get 8,9,375. Basic accounting principle. Okay. So 8,9,375. Then sundry expenses 6,875 was paid this year, But last year you paid 625, but then still that belongs to this year. So I'm going to say, sorry, 6875. So 6875 plus last year's 625. They'll give me 7500. Recognize it as see that 625 was not recognized this year. So I'm recognizing it this year. So now you have again depreciation. I'll tell you how that calculation is done. Then establishment charges also I'll tell you how that calculation is done. But question tells me here, both of these things I'll tell you, but question tells me you may have some 10,800 of cost which is not stated above, but you may want to provide for some contingencies. So I put 10,800. So only two things I want to discuss is depreciation and establishment charges. See, this year when I began, what is the opening value of the plant? 7750, right? How? Because last year that was the closing value, right? That was the closing value last year. See here 7750. That means this year it is 7750. To this, what happened is I introduced new plant. A further sum of 31,250 would have to be spent on the plant. That means 31,250 I add. That means together I should have a plant value of 39,000. However, in the end, if you see, it has a residual value of 3750. That means end of the year the closing value is 3750. Something that should have been 39,000. End of the year, it's end of the year means December 31st year is only 3750. So much is the reduction in value. That was the second year's depreciation. That's why I got this. That's how I got this amount. Establishment charges, they say, will cost the same amount per month as in the previous year. Previous year, how much did they incur? 14,625. Okay. Divided by 12, you'll get monthly amount. Into 9, you will get what is it for this year. So you get 10,969. So add all of these things. This will tell you cost to be incurred. So you know cost already incurred. You know cost to be incurred. So add cost already incurred and cost to be incurred. It will give you total cost. Subtract that from contract price. You will get estimated profit. So take the contract price. Subtract cost already incurred. Subtract cost to be incurred. You will get estimated profit. Okay, it's as simple as that. So this, if there is a formula, contract price minus cost already incurred minus cost to be incurred will give you estimated profit. I'll tell you honestly, you don't need to memorize this formula. If you understand the logic, you'll automatically get this. Okay. One thing alone I want to say here is, you may ask me a question. You are saying so much of cost has been incurred this year. I understand that. But why are you not subtracting the work uncertified from that? In contract account, you are subtracting the work uncertified. Why are you not subtracting work uncertified here? The logic is, if I remove work uncertified here, obviously I should add it here, right? Second year, there's no work uncertified. I should add it here. So only thing is, this will get reduced, this will get added. Rather, I'll say that removal is only for contract account. For estimated profit calculation, let me keep it like this, no problem. So your work uncertified or work certified will not affect your estimated profit calculation if you do it like this. Okay, so this is the idea here behind your estimated profit calculation. This one, after this problem, what we'll do is let's go to practical problem 2. Okay, very simple problem. A part of what you have basically done earlier is what this problem tells us. PP3, practical problem 3, whatever you have done, a part of it is practical problem 2. Let's go to the previous problem here. Compute a conservative estimate of profit on a contract which has been 90% complete, never mind whatever percent completion. Calculate the proportion of profit to be taken to costing P&L under various methods and give your recommendation. Okay, see, that various methods and give your recommendation. That one part is not there in your syllabus here. Okay, that is something that is not there in your syllabus. How do you take that profit to your P&L account? That's not there in your syllabus, though the question tells that. So that's the reason why I came. I wanted to double check if they had calculated that. They have not. Total expenditure to date is 4,50,000. Contract prices, further expenditure is 25,000. Contract price is 6,12,000. Work certified is 5,58,00. Work uncertified is 34,000. Cash received is 4,46,50. What is the total estimated profit from this contract? See, cost already incurred is 4,50,000. Cost to be incurred is 25,000. So estimated total cost is 6,75,000. Contract price is 6,12,000 given to you here. Difference obviously is estimated profit. Now, what they probably ask is what is the notional profit? Notional profit, we can say expenditure till date is 4,50,000. This 4,50,000, from that, let me remove the uncertified work of 34,000. I'll get 4,16,000. The work certified is 5,50,800. So maybe so much of profit I'll recognize. But here, let's just focus on estimated profit calculation. This is how simple it is, right? If they want notional profit, you're going to say total expenditure debit will be 4,50,000. From that, I will remove 34,000, that is work uncertified. Then that will give me whatever cost is allowed to be there. I'll compare it with work certified. I'll have a notional profit or loss, right? That's the idea. But anyway, how much of that notional profit should be taken to costing P&L? They are saying under various methods, right? They're saying various methods. Please don't get carried away. This is what I said is there only it's not there in the new syllabus. If you see the solution also, that's why I checked. In the solution also, they have not given it. It's not there in the syllabus. I think it's a mistake in the question here. Okay. So, they have given that, but they themselves have not solved that part, right? So that's what it is. Then next thing I want to do is go to illustration 3 here. Okay, illustration 3. Compute the estimated profit on a contract which has been 90% complete from the following particulars. Okay, see, again same thing. Estimated profit, cost already incurred is 22,50,000. Cost to be incurred is 2,50,000. Total estimated cost is 25 lakhs. Contract price is 32,50,000. Estimated profit is 7,50,000. So in estimated profit calculation, if you see work certified they have given, work uncertified they have given, cash receipt they have given, has no bearing at all. Right? See what they have done. The same solution we have also got here has no bearing at all. Right? For estimated profit calculation, notional profit, only for notional profit calculation, work certified and work uncertified will come. For estimated profit from total contract, if you should calculate, you just need to know cost already incurred, cost to be incurred, estimated cost you will get, contract price you will get the difference. Okay. See, last thing I want to do is there is one illustration 7. I want to quickly run through that. It's not a very common thing as far as the questions are concerned. Only one illustration is there. I'll use the material itself here, and I'll just explain that to you. Just the logic alone I'll explain. You should be able to understand it. Very simple. With that we can wind up. Okay. See, a contractor has entered into a long-term contract at an agreed price of 17,50,000, subject to an escalation clause for materials and wages as spelled out in the contract, and corresponding actual are as follows. 3 materials are going to be used, A, B, C. Ideal standard is 5,000 tons of A, 3,500 tons of B, and 2,500 tons of C has to be used. 1 ton must be bought at 50 rupees for A, 80 and C. Standard rate, standard quantity is given. Similarly, X has to work for 2,000 hours. He should be given 70 rupees. Y has to work for 2,500 hours. He has to be given 75 rupees. Z has to work for 3,000 hours. He should be given rupees 65. This is a standard. But actually what has happened is 5,050 tons of A has been used. 3,450 tons of B has been used, 2,600 tons of C has been used at the different rates. Hours also like this, they have given different rates is given. Now what has happened is, reckoning the full actual consumption of material and wages, the company has claimed a final price of 17,73,600. Give your analysis of admissible escalation claim and indicate the final price payable. See, the escalation clause is very important in any construction contract. The reason is you start the project today, you may take 2 or 3 or 4 years time to complete it. Today you may estimate that this is the amount, right? But over 1 or 2 years, some things may change. Your materials may become more costly. Labor may not be very available. So what may happen is the price may increase. So you, as a contractor, you may tell your client, look, today this is an estimate, but I have the right to ask you for extra money in case my cost itself is increasing. Very good example is, if anyone of you have booked a flat, okay, when I say you, if your parents have booked a flat, uh, like maybe last year or whatever, they would have quoted a certain amount. Now, definitely, I can tell you the constructor will ask for, is likely to ask for something extra because COVID-19, lot of disruption in work, things are becoming costlier right now. So easily they will say so much of escalation in your cost. So that's why I need higher price. This is what we call as escalation clause. It's very, I mean, you can expect this in a construction contract. What has happened is 17 lakh 50,000 was the agreed amount. But this guy is saying, I'll ask you for 17 lakh 73,600. They're saying, is this escalate, is so much of increase admissible or not? 23,600 rupees extra they're asking, is it admissible or not? I'll look through a solution itself and I'll explain to you how this has to be done. Let's see what they are basically doing here. See, let's go to the first thing before. Now, one example I'll give you is, let's in isolation, just let's look at material C. Okay, in isolation, let's look at material C, and then in combining everything, I'll discuss. Let's just look at it from material C perspective. How much of materials must have been used? 2,500. What is the rate at which it has to be used? 60 rupees. Now, what has actually happened is 2,600 tons were used at 66 rupees per ton. Now the contractor is saying my actual cost is 2,600 into 66, which happens to be 1,71,600. But what I budgeted is only 2,560, 1,50,000. Entire increase you give me extra. If the contractor says like this, you may tell the contractor, look, escalation is only for inflation. You wanted to use 2,500 at 60 rupees, but you ended up buying 2,566 rupees because of inflation, prices increased. I understand. So for these 2,500 rupees, for this 2,500 tons, for every ton, 6 rupee extra you spend. So I don't mind giving you extra 15,000 rupees towards the cost of C. But you want more than that, not only because price increased, but you also used more tons of C. That is not because of inflation. You're using more of a quantity, that's your headache. Probably you used something inefficiently that got damaged. So I will admit your claim only to the extent of increase in the rate, not to the extent of increase in usage. Similarly, if you come for worker Z should have ideally worked for 3,000 hours, but he has worked at 65 rupees per hour, but he has worked for 3,100 hours at 66 rupees per hour. Now, 3,166 is definitely higher than 3,065. But for 3,000 hours, every hour costed 1 rupee extra, the client may not mind it. But worker worked 100 hours extra. Client is saying, who asked him to work 100 hours extra? Maybe he wasted some time in between, so he worked extra. So I can't compensate you for the entire increase in your wage cost. Increase only because of the rate, I'll compensate, not because of the number of hours. So this is how you should solve. Now what, and that too, let's come back to our calculation here. See, you can see in few cases price raised. Don't immediately ask for a claim because in some cases rate also fell. So net what has happened you should see. So if you come back here, sorry, if you come here, 5,000 units or 5,000 tons of A, standard rate is 50, actual rate is 48. So for every ton, you saved 2 rupee. So you saved 10,000 rupees for materials A. Okay. 35,500 tons for B, 80 rupees you planned, 79 rupees only actual. You saved 1 rupee per ton. So you saved 3,500 rupees. Material C alone, for 2,500 tons, 1 rupee, that's 6 rupees extra, worked out to 15,000 cost. Don't ask him for 50,000, 15,000 because you saved 10,000 materials A, you saved the 3,500. So net ask him only for 1,500 for material escalation. Okay, then come to wages. 2000 hours estimated, 70 rupees planned, 72 rupees per hour actual. You lost 2 rupees for every hour, 4000 rupees you ask him. For worker Y, he was supposed to work 2500 rupees. You planned for 75 rupees per hour. Actually, you paid him 75 rupees per hour. Don't ask him anything extra. You neither saved anything nor you lost anything. Z, if you see, he has to work for 3000 hours. 65 rupees you planned, 66 rupees per hour actual. So you lost 1 rupee per hour. So 3000 rupees you lost. Ask him for 7000. So wages, you have the right to ask him 7000 extra. Materials, you have the right to ask 1500 extra. So your final escalation claim must have only been 8500. That means original agreed price was 17 lakh 15,000. If you added 8,500, asked 17 lakh 58,500, your client will pay you. But you are asking much more than that, which is 17 lakh 73,600. Why? Because you are taking everything into account. Even usage extra you are taking into account. That is not permissible, is what this question is trying to say. Okay, if you capture that, this kind of question can also be solved. We understand that after those discussions that we did, this seems like nothing. Okay, so with this, let's wind up our contract costing. As I said in the beginning, these problems you understand thoroughly, everything else you will be able to. There's nothing great. See, you have only one more problem called practical problem 4 in your study material, then 1 or 2 RTP questions which will test you on the same things. So nothing that we have left out actually, to be very honest, but even those you will be able to do yourself.